Hi everybody, it's me, Jennifer from Little Metal Foxes. Beep. And it's Tuesday. I know what that means. Tool talk. So, if you're out there and you want to join me, come on in. I've got hammer handpiece information I want to share with you. So, hello, hey. And yeah, there is hey, Chris is here. Hello, Chris. Hi. I just was about to talk about the hammer handpiece. Do you want to join me? Yeah, come on in. Let's talk about the hammer handpiece. You want to do that? I can invite you. Here we go. Oops, let's see. Hello, hi. Let's see, let's do that. I'm going to invite you to come in. Anderson from Lion Punch Forge. Hello, hi. There he comes.
How's it going?
I'm doing. How are you?
I grabbed my earbuds and.
Awesome. Oops, grows up there. Still there? You attaching the earbuds? Is that what's happening? You're loading really slowly.
How about now?
You're back.
All right, good.
Well,
Good.
how are you?
Not too bad. It's been busy. I'm gonna have a trip out of town here in a couple weeks, and so I'm just kind of getting the product set up. The last couple of days has been mostly yard work and planting and spring stuff and all the things that have to do with keeping a yard up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I did rewire an outlet today in the garage away from like an old fluorescent light that had like an 8 foot long tube that you can't find anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I rewired it to an outlet and then I plugged in LED lights all around. So you're a little broken up. I don't know if it's me or
sorry.
your
Yeah.
internet. Yeah.
Here. Hello.
There you go. That'll go better.
Okay.
So hammer handpiece today. Oh, hey, you got some stickers.
New stickers. Yes, we got the new stickers arrived, and I love. Helen does all of our graphic design stuff, and I love that it's the fox with the BNS gauge, which is so awesome. I just love that. And
How thick is that?
Well, it's like a regular vinyl sticker, but it's
okay.
glitter. And the other one is her anvil.
Nice.
I thought those are super cute. So anyway, I've got some coming your way because I just
Sweet.
got.
I like it.
Yay!
Allie Perry sent me a bunch of stickers to send out to the team too. So
Awesome. Fun.
yeah.
So cool.
I did. I know we're talking about hammer hand pieces, but I did do a thing yesterday.
What'd you do?
I found a very old 7.5-inch lathe chuck. So it's a three jaw lathe chuck that has a big 1/2 inch. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically has 3 jaws on it that closes in around a round object, and then it holds it while you turn it on the lathe. And so mine's 7.5 inches in diameter across, and I ended up cleaning it up, de-rusting it, taking it completely apart, cleaning it, putting it back together, and then taking the mounting plate off the back of it so I could sit it flat on my engraving table.
Oh.
And I could use that as a work holder.
Cool.
So my my engraving table spins, so the lathe chuck acts as a place to hold a smaller chuck or a place to hold something else. So more work holding capabilities for engraving.
Cool. That sounds good.
Good.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about hammer handpiece, shall we?
Good.
The little hammer points.
Oh, the anvil points, yeah.
Anvil points, yes. So for those of you that don't know what this is a hammer, and this attaches flex drill. So basically, the handle.
Is your internet's a little spotty with chipping? Yeah. It sounds like you're talking and then going underwater, and then I don't know if we're still on or
Oh,
not. Is
that better?
maybe better.
Okay.
So far so good.
So far, so this is the regular number 30 handpiece that comes on the flex shaft, and this can pop right off. And it fits neatly into the hammer hand, and it turns it into a hammer. So like a little jackhammer. You can see it sort of bouncing back and forth, and it's adjustable. So Chris, you made an attachment for this that
Yeah.
is awesome, which is the graver, which is awesome. So that's a good one. But
it's a wonderful way to start try engraving under power,
right,
instead of hand push. But I think you should do all the things.
do all the things. Well, the thing that I want to talk about, the anvil points on, the anvil points come kind of unfinished. A lot of people don't realize that that's the case. And so they start using them right out of the box. And they usually have a really roughed up surface, but they have, if you polish them, like a burnisher would be polished, and you're setting them, it's really nice because it like hammers down your brand. Careful your skin with it, but it comes in lots of different. So you can get a little set like this and use it for stone set, knocking your bezels down. And then it has a couple of different, like a point that's really kind of crazy that can get into different areas.
Or stippling,
yeah.
Or you can actually take that point, round it over a little bit, and make a smaller burnisher.
Yeah. So that's what I do with this one. So the oh yeah, that'd be good too. The other one that you can get is like a it's like a carbide point, like an upside down diamond.
That's one of my favorites, like the little faux pave.
Real fast, and you
Yeah.
make it look real slow, and it looks like you're doing pave set, and just right finish to the surface. So these are really cool. But these are I like the kind of little rocker shapes. I was using that actually yesterday on these guys. What? I love them. So using this guy right here, they screw into hand like that, all the way down. There we go. And then it has a little rod that fits in there, and then you can just tighten that. Tighten it down. The thing I would say, and then you've got this little, there it goes. So it's like a little Barbie jackhammer.
Then the nice part of that too is that you don't necessarily have to use it under power. You can still use that as a tool to burnish around.
Yeah.
And if you get to a hard point, then you can add a little bit of extra poop to it.
Yeah, it's really good with heavier bezels. Oh gosh, stubborn bezels. If you're making your bezels out of brass or sterling or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of nice because it can actually give oomph. And then go around it with a engraving tool or a burnish to get the top, but it really does help knock that bezel down where you want it to be pretty quickly. But I like.
See, I learned on with hammer setting, like physically a chisel and a hammer.
Right.
And if it's super stubborn or super thick, that may be a better option. But this is like, it's quick, it's right there. You pop it on your flex shaft that's right next to your bench.
Right.
Setting with a hammer and a chisel means that you have to hold your work a little bit differently and more stably. So the hammer hand piece with that for setting heavier bezels a great like in between for hand setting
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
hammer.
Well, and it's kind of nice, especially if you're somebody who does not have a lot of the mobility skills that you might need to do one gripping the piece in a vise or an engraving like that, and doing the hand-eye coordination, hammer and punch can take a lot of training and mentality to be able to sort of like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? But this allows you to sort of move a little more quickly without as much effort,
Mm-hmm.
be able to smooth it down really beautifully in a lot less. So if you have a flexion, I think it's a good.
One of the pieces of complaint I hear from people on using that particular technique is that it roughs up my bezel, and like that's where you have to polish them.
Well,
That's where you're taking sharp edges off of them. You're making sure everything's rounded, relieved, radiused, you
yeah,
know, really nice and clean, because whatever you're hitting your work with is going to impress
exactly.
whatever texture is on it on your work, like stamps.
Here's the thing: I've seen so many people have that, and I'm like, well, what's it look like? And they were like, and it's right out of the box. And I'm like, if you had a burnisher that looked like that, you'd be like, what the hell is wrong with my burnisher?
Yeah,
But
I have
people,
no idea why my rusty dull butter knife won't make polished bezels.
yeah, exactly. So as you're moving that across the bezel, it's going to burnish it and shine it up. Same is true with these guys. So what I usually do is I'll take like a file to the corners and file it down. But you the file, you,
So one thing that you can also do is take that guy, get your H30 handpiece,
mm-hmm.
chuck him up in the H30 handpiece, and then take it to some sandpaper or a sharpening stone or a diamond plate or something like that. And as it's going, move it up and down across that plate. I got a dog.
Hello.
Nice, Jade.
Hi, Jade.
Hi, Jade.
Hi, Jade.
Oh, there's a good dog. Yeah, you're a good girl. You are a good girl.
There you go.
Thank you.
So
But
yeah,
what that does, it allows for a
and you,
uniformity in your. We're joining apparently.
there you go.
It allows for some uniformity in that that angle. Yeah.
Right. You do want to be careful not to crush the grip
Yes.
as you're doing that. So using something to.
Will it open up wide enough to grab the body?
This one might, yeah. So if you can grab the body, yes. You may not be able to do that. I wouldn't attempt this with a quick change handpiece.
No.
But the let's see how big that will open. Maybe. Nope. That's not.
Yeah. So wrap some blue tape around it or something like that to just add a little protection.
Yeah.
Electrical tape is nice because it compresses into the threads.
Yeah.
And when you're done, it'll.
I was gonna say plumber's tape.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
that like the white Teflon. Yeah.
Because that doesn't have like stickiness to it. So.
Hey, come on. Let's go. There you go.
But yeah, plumber's tape for putting it around them, and then doing it will help to protect them. That in your hand, rolling it over the surface of the paper, for getting this corner will help a lot. Now that won't work obviously direct. So those you'll have to do by hand, but they can knock the corners off.
The center section is what you use the square one for. The square one, if you're going into an area where you require kind of a corner to go in and push that down, a lot of them, I mean, you could use the square one like you could some of the round ones.
Yeah.
But typically if you want to go in and you want to push right against the corner, say you have an angle or a 90-degree corner where you're trying to like push it out a little bit, you can use that on the side to kind of push it out and form that 90. So the fact think of them like an anvil.
Yeah.
Think of them like a stake almost.
Yeah.
So you can
Well, you
put
can.
something behind it and then use the anvil point to press it in against that.
Yeah, and you can use that riveting hammer. So the cross for a riveting hammer, the rectangle. But I especially like the rectangle shapes when I'm setting a bezel, or the square one. I like, especially the longer ones, because I like to overlap the strokes as I'm
Mm-hmm.
on the bevel, and it gives me a much smoother finish. The square ones are good, like you said, for getting like little nooks a little bit better. But I like the rectangles for like that overlap stroke. Um, but yeah, some people use these for like light representation. So it's going back and forth from the front and back.
We're gonna go out in the garage real fast in the studio and do an experiment
Okay.
because you got me thinking.
Oh, I did. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, this
It's
is this is
totally
this
me,
is good.
that kind of activity.
Let's see. Yeah. No, you're good. This would be a fun project. I need to find my anvil points first.
Yeah,
What
but
are
I
you right
like
there?
this set a lot. It's going to be the carbide tip because the point is great, but it can
Yeah.
get up a little bit. Is doesn't have to do it. The carbide point though, really beautiful job for that. Like faux pave, really looks good. So yeah, and I like that they come in a little set like this too. Um, yeah, I think yeah. Is my voice still breaking up? Am I
Yeah,
still having
it was. It's getting a little bit better than it was, but
this?
it was breaking up a little bit.
Okay, I'll try that. See if that helps. So I switched Wi-Fi's. But yeah, everyone's question for getting into those little nooks and crannies.
Yeah, that didn't go any better.
What are you up to? What are you attempting?
All right.
No.
So I have an anvil point
Mm-hmm.
that is unfinished, and I have a junk file. I'm going to find something to mount this in. Actually, I'll just use my hand. I'm going to take the junk file and I'm going to slap the tip of the graver, and then I'm going to use this as a texturing tool.
Yes. So you can totally use those as texturing tools, and if it's a little bit of a grip to it, and you're trying to like do repoussé and chasing, that little toothy grip will help you push the metal around. So you can deliberately texture. I would still take the corners off so you don't like poke
Yeah.
corners doing repoussé and chasing. But the texturing is incredibly helpful for moving the metal. You want to grab it and move the metal along. So there's different ways to change these tools. Think of them as a tool steel blank that you can use to change whatever you're working on. Yeah.
So while you're going at that, I'm going to try and find my tiny vise or my tiny. I just had it here yesterday. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiny vices have a tendency to disappear.
Well, it's a tiny lathe chuck.
Oh, that right. Okay.
The big one's right here.
Right.
If you guys want to see that, I'll show you.
Yes, please. Oh yeah. Nice.
So then I have this guy that fits in there with a threaded plate on the top.
Mm-hmm.
So I can put whatever I want screwed down, and then my entire vise turns with my fixture plate.
Nice.
So, and then my microscope is right underneath that.
Right.
Let's see. I'm just gonna. Oh, it's right in front of me. So here's my little guy.
Okay.
So I'm gonna turn myself around here, find my little key for this guy, which should be right where I left it. It is. And then I'm gonna use this to hold my piece while I slap it, because hitting it with your hand without having it in one place can it takes up too much of the impact. That's basically what. Now, this is not one of my good files.
Right. So one of the questions, uh, have you ever modified the tip so you can use it as a liner? And the answer to that is yes, Chris has.
So what I'm gonna do now, I'll do that next. So
Yeah.
I have those files right over there.
Yeah. So one of the tools to answer your question is that using something like a cylinder, you can put it into the hammer handpiece and use it like a liner times to make like baskets, things like that. That's what tips you shared with me a couple of years ago, and I love it. So using a like
Turn my thing off there.
yeah, like a cylinder burr that has the teeth that are going almost straight up and down works great.
Check this guy out. We'll find my hammer, and then we'll see what kind of texture it makes.
That one.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that you can put into the hammer handpiece, and it works like a liner. If you want to do like the graver tool, that will work with this into my graver adapter.
Grab my hammer handpiece.
Yeah,
so it's 1/8 inch round or 2 millimeter square, which will fit in there. So you can basically make your own texturing tools.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're using that as a texturing tool, it works great.
We're gonna see what this looks like. Trying to hold it here.
Please.
All right. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like first,
okay.
And then I'll have to put you guys down real fast. So I'm gonna go right here.
Okay.
So that's what it looks like.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna turn you around. Let me look at all the fun stuff in the background there.
Hello.
Move my microscope out of the way.
Yeah. So, okay, if you've got the graver adapter, it holds a number of parts, the nut, and you can insert the graver tools, the different shapes. So there's round, square, and the graver stock in here. So you probably, if it's a square, you can even use it, and that'll work too. There. Oh, yeah, good. You do? Well, good. There you go. Were you just prompting us to talk about it?
So there's a little hard to get, but you have some texture there. It's a little harder to see, but if I get a little bit deeper slapping grooves on that tip, I'll get a little bit more distinct texture. And the next thing is one of my favorite tools for tool making, checkering files.
I was about to say file.
Yep.
So checkering files have been used in the jewelry industry and in the knife industry for checkering things like pistol grips and doing like a texture, a knurled handle. So by striking in one direction, it gives you parallel lines, and coming the other direction, it gives you a checkerboard. So that's why it's called a checkering file. Yeah, there it is.
So basically, it looks like a bunch of, perpendicular teeth to each other. Did I correct that? Or yeah. So my edges, these are fragile. So looks like I cracked an edge there, but that's okay. That's fine. You got enough teeth in there to compensate for that.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna take this over into my put it back in my vise here, my drill chuck, and then I need a camera person. That's what I need. I'll flip me around. I'll go back here. I need to hire a camera person.
Just get GoPros on Jade.
Yeah, or I'll mount it to my forehead.
Yeah.
Something like that. You can see what I'm doing.
Okay.
All right, so this drill chuck, it's got a little chuck key it goes in and it tightens it down. And just like a drill chuck, you want to tighten them all down the same, because sometimes one may be a little bit looser than the other. But what that allows you to do is hold something around. So if I was going to engrave a touch mark for somebody, I would use one of these because I can hold it upright and I can spin it around on my vise while I engrave it.
Right.
Now, what I'm going to do is bring you guys back, and I have just the tip sticking out there.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. There we go. And I'm going to take this checkering file, and I'm going to slide it parallel with where I want my lines, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to index it, and then slide it parallel again to where I want my lines.
Right.
And then what that's going to do is give me the negative of this positive texture. So I'm going to go ahead and flip you around. We'll do that. Let's see what it looks like.
Okay. So index, you're lining up the line, moving it over one to make sure they line up.
Yeah.
Match where they're supposed to be.
Turns out this is hardened.
Ah.
So I'm gonna do a real quick annealing.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Let you go. So talking tools. In fact, we're going to be talking about doing a class on making tools, right? Doing a junk to something.
Yeah. Customizing your what did we store and renovate, right?
Yeah. Something like that.
Purpose. Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about doing that this summer. I'm looking forward to that. Oh, also, guess who we just have on the schedule now coming up for a class? We're very excited. Jeff DeBoer. And Jeff DeBoer he's the Canadian artist that does cat and mouse armor. And he is so cool. And he's such a good guy. He's going to be doing a in September. So if you're really curious about like learning how to do facing your own studio, he's going to be a demo on that in his studio, how he gets that stuff together. But Jeff DeBoer is an absolute master of doing lightweight repoussé and chasing. His work was just spotlighted in National Geographic, and it is beyond amazing. So look at that. His work is amazing. And you can get in there. He's going to do a on that workshop in September.
So we're just adding a little bit of heat here. That's all.
There you go.
Heat this tip up. I had a little too much noise in the torch.
A little bit. That's okay. So while you're working on that, solder setups on the 29th, and that is going to be for people who are, if you're having a hard time getting your solder set up, solder positions, like figure out how to get part A attached to part B, all kinds of contraptions and tips to be able to solder more successfully with more complicated soldering setups. So if you've got, jump rings, vertical or in the middle of something, in the middle of the air, how do you do that? Not everything is done with a third arm or another pair of cross-lock tweezers. I've got hold it and extra hands and soft soldering pads and all kinds of things that I can set up and tricks for that. So if you guys want to do that, that's coming up this weekend. Also, Julia coliforms are coming up this weekend. And I've got wax carving stones starting on May 3rd. So I'm going to be going through a whole bunch of wax processes to hold stones. That's coming up too. And then making work with coming up. How's it looking?
I have a really coarse file, so I'm getting some coarse lines, but you'll be able to see them.
Yeah.
So they sell different coarsenesses of these checkering files.
Right.
And the one I have right now is a what is this? A double aught, and it's the thickest of them, the more coarse.
Widest one?
Yeah. Well, the spots are the teeth are wider apart.
Right.
And so now that I've had a little bit of work on him.
Yeah, look. Ah, yeah, look at that.
So now I have a tooth.
Right.
And that would be, I don't know, let's see. It was still hot when I stuck it in my vise, but the vise pulled all the heat out.
Yeah.
The nice thing about that is that sometimes that'll actually harden your metal for you.
Right. Cooling it down.
Because the super fast cooling of the metal pulling the heat out will give you some hardness.
Right.
So let's open this up here. Flip me around.
So get it
so,
that real quick while you can again.
What's that?
Let's see. Let me get a close up of that real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see the tool again real quick.
Just put it on my vise. Let me clean this up real quick.
Okay.
A little sandpaper.
I'm curious the how that's going to leave it.
I am too.
Ah.
It's the first time I've done that.
Yeah. We call this playing with fire in my world. That is awesome. So now you've taken that and given it a new texture. So this is one of the things I think that, like I said before, at the beginning of this, we had some new people join, is that these are kind of like tool blanks, right? So you can customize these like that and make a new tool out of these amazing little hammer handpiece anvil points. That looks great, Chris.
Yeah, let's see what it does.
Yeah,
let me move my vise or my microscope out of the way. Flip me around, and then I'm gonna get just a little bit of edge deburring on these.
Okay.
I'm gonna take my sandpaper, roll it over the top, just to kind of take a hard edge off.
Yeah.
On the sides.
Yeah, with a real sharp edge, it might bend over flat.
Yeah, it may adversely affect the way that I want it to texture.
Right.
Let's find a clean piece of copper. I don't have anything clean. Let's see.
I think it's an underrated checkering file. It is a really cool tool.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite tool making tools.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I have this. Basically, it's a ring strip out of copper, and it's annealed. So I'm just going to do a couple things here, and let me tighten this down real fast. It feels a little bit loosey-goosey.
So again, when you put that into things like vices or a chuck, make sure you're not tightening down directly on the threads that are on. Sure you're wrapping them with something like plumber tape so that they are fun. To the hammer hand piece like this. Well, tell us the result, Chris.
It definitely textures. So depending on how you move the tool, your texture changes. And I, of course, want a little bit more time to work with it to kind of figure out what would be best. But
right. Oh.
So you have some lines from digging it in, and then this is a randomized kind of swishing back and forth.
Right.
I do want to try something real quick.
Yeah, if you move in line with your texture, so it's like in line with the lines on.
Well, I'm going to try and use it like a pencil and push, so that I'm actually engraving on these little edges.
Yeah, using it like a liner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what I would want to do is refine these a little bit more in order to get it to work like I wanted it to.
Yeah.
But if you sharpen down one side and use a checkering file, you can create your lining grooves.
Right.
What this also allows you to potentially do is if you're doing dropping stuff, if you're where am I at? Where's my pieces at? I know I picked up there it is. So if you're doing castellated bezels,
Yeah. Oh,
if you
yeah.
if you index this the right way, this will create an indexed line for where your sawing is going to be.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So I mean, I'm just going to use the checkering file on the piece of metal real quick so you can kind of see what that looks like.
Okay. Yeah. Like, checkering files, if you're like filing in the same direction, it gives you those nice lines parallel. And then if you go at a 45 degree angle, that you can get different patterns with the crossing. So it's like crosshatch.
All right, so this is where the castellated bezel, if you want to use these for castellated bezels, it's a fantastic tool for that.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the index lines from the checkering file.
Right.
And then if I take that same file and, like you said, change the direction of my filing, I can create a knurling or like a basket weave.
Right. Right. Or a checker pattern.
Yep.
Unlike the heartbird, this isn't named after Mr. Checkering. Well, cool.
Don't have quite the right work holding, but you can see the thing here. But by taking those anvil points, and if I went in a little bit deeper, you'd see how that'd be like a crosshatch or a checkerboard.
Yeah.
But like you said, the anvil points themselves are tool blanks.
Right. Right.
It is, and I thought they were annealed steel,
No.
and apparently they're not. So in order to make them soft for you to work on them with files, you'll need to heat up the tip and then just let it sit.
Yeah.
Because if you quench steel, it'll reharden it.
Right.
So heat it up, let it sit, throw it in some pumice or something like that, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be good. Make sure that you're keeping the threads and that rod on the back don't get that hot. So you could actually use something like soldering clay or mud on the end to keep it.
Yep.
While you're...
The other thing that you could do is create a heat sink on that backside. Like if I were heat it in the vise or in the chuck, the heat would be drawn out from that one area, and I just blast the heat right over the top of the tip, and then throw it into a needle. So
that's smart. That's smart. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Chris.
Good times. Yeah, my pleasure.
Cool. So
hopefully we'll get some more tool making stuff soon.
Speaking of heat, though, like I said, we got the soldering class setups coming up this weekend. Soldering setups for greater success. And one of those things I've got in the Axis that we're going to talk about, your soldering. And
that I need to do another pre-order on those because I don't have any in stock.
Oh, I've also got one of the other things I'm going to be talking about are like the lion's claws.
Nice.
And talk about the titanium tweezers.
Sweet. The tie tweezies. The
tie tweezies. And but I've got different kinds of things like mud and so for really complex soldering, this would be a really good class. So if you've got things like, I don't know how I can get all these things together and not melt everything or have everything not move while I'm trying to solder it, this is your way. Traditionally, some of these were done with like investment salt. And so instead of using investment, you can use other materials. So I'm going to be showing people how to do that this weekend. And Julia's also got her hollow form box class coming up. So this is a really great class for people that are really wanting to understand like soldering processes and processes really well. And then next week, the 5th of May or 3rd of May, we've got the wax carving for stone setting. So
that'd be a good one.
Yeah. doing the make your mark with stamps and punches. So teaching people
Nice.
how to do that you're doing with these anvil points today. So taking your steel, what kind of steel works, how to anneal it, how to temper it, how to shape it into the punches that you want, and talking a little bit about some really cool people that do that in their own work. That'll be good.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to be able to have an idea and make your own tool to do it.
And it,
I mean,
so many people
I
expect there to be tools out there for everything. That really wasn't the case until really recently. So just, with the influx of people that were doing this in their own homes or as a craft or a hobby, people started making tools for doing specific surfaces or specific changes or shapes or whatever. And, that was by the artist. And so really make your work your own when
exactly.
or custom.
And occasionally I'll take orders for custom stamps if somebody wants like I want a flower or something like that. But there are a lot of very dedicated stamp carvers
Oh yeah.
and stamp makers out there that do that specifically that are just fantastic at it. So I tend to, when I get a request for something like that, I tend to pawn it off on somebody else, because when they have somebody contact them wanting to do something they can't do, they send them to me. So,
well, I think we spotted you this week recently when I was showing them how to make horn hammers, and they were like, I'm gonna Chris do that for me. And I'm like, oh, I love my horn hammers so much.
yeah, I had that she already contacted me for a quote. So,
I
yeah,
love it. Yeah.
yeah, they're fun.
I
And shipwreck beads,
say what?
shipwreck beads.
Yeah. Shipwreck Beads had the horn, and it's water buffalo horn, but
Yeah.
Point off, random the corners off, and so I've got a nice little one side.
Nice flat.
But I ended up doing some synclastic shaping for earrings, and
Nice.
use it was this weekend. But yeah, it's all oiled and waxed
Love
and
it.
ready to go, and got a little wedge in the top, and I love it. So now
Love
the
it.
cool thing is with tools like this is that you can customize them any way you want. You can shape it any way you want. You can, and it makes your work unique because
Yeah.
nothing else strikes exactly like this does, And
I
that's
was
especially
making
steel.
I was making crossbeam hammers out of old files
Oh,
when I first started.
yeah,
It's
that's
hard to
cool.
get them to hold in the handle though.
Yeah,
They don't like to grab on, but you can make it work.
there you go. Well, Chris, thanks for joining me.
Have a good evening, and
Thanks
we'll
for
see how
joining me
you guys
tonight.
do. Yeah,
Oh,
my pleasure.
yeah. All right. Thanks,
See
buddy.
you guys later.
All right.